intrigue and urgency. What if November 22nd isn't just another date on the calendar, but a divine crossroads? For the chosen one, this specific day holds a hidden key to unlocking prophecies long shrouded in mystery. Prepare to discover a spiritual revelation that could redefine your understanding of destiny and purpose, a revelation you can't afford to miss. My friends, gather close. Let me speak to you not as a crowd, but as seekers, as those who feel the old maps are failing and the new ones have yet to be drawn. You have felt it, haven't you? A tremor beneath the surface of your days, a sense that the world is a text and we have only been reading the boldest print. We have missed the annotations written in the margins of history, the subtle ink of a deeper design. And at the heart of this design, a date, November the 22nd. This is not a random mark on the calendar. It is a key to a lock we did not know we carried. It is about a pattern, a thread woven through time, pointing to a moment of profound recognition, a moment for the chosen one. Who is this chosen one? The answer may shake the very foundation of your identity, but this is only the beginning. The doorway is now open, but you must choose to walk through. If you are ready to see the pattern for yourself, to understand what has been hidden in plain sight, then let this journey continue. Show you are part of this unfolding story, like this video. Comment the number you feel is most symbolic to you, and subscribe. The next revelation awaits those who are prepared to see, of course. Here is the expansion of the first keynote. My friends, gather close. Let me speak to you not as a crowd, but as seekers, as those who feel the old maps are failing and the new ones have yet to be drawn. You have felt it, haven't you? A tremor beneath the surface of your days, a sense that the world is a text and we have only been reading the boldest print. We have missed the annotations written in the margins of history, the subtle ink of a deeper design. And this is where we must begin, not with a shout, but with a whisper. This tremor, it is the first sign, the most subtle hint that everything you perceive as solid and unchanging is in truth in a state of quiet and constant flux. It is not an earthquake that destroys, it is a vibration that awakens. Think of it as a string on an instrument you cannot see, plucked by an unseen hand, resonating through the very core of your being. You cannot always hear it with your ears, but you feel its echo in your spirit. In the quiet moment just before sleep, when the noise of the world fades, there it is, a faint pulse, a question without words, or in the middle of a crowded room, surrounded by laughter and conversation, a sudden and profound feeling of isolation, as if you are observing the world from behind a thin, translucent veil. It is the unsettling feeling that you have forgotten something of immense importance, a name or a promise made long ago, the memory of which lingers just beyond your grasp. This tremor is the friction between the world as you have been told it is, and the world as you are beginning to sense it truly is. It is the dissonance between the official story and the hidden narrative. It is the reason the achievements and possessions you were promised would bring fulfillment somehow leave a hollow space within you. That hollow space is not a void, it is a resonance chamber for this tremor. It is proof that you are not fully plugged into the consensus reality, and that is not a flaw, my friends. That is a feature of your design. It is the signal that you are receiving a frequency that others have tuned out. This subtle disturbance is the beginning of all true seeking. Comfort seeks to silence it. Distraction seeks to drown it out. But the seeker learns to lean into it, to amplify it, to follow its frequency as a guide. It is the feeling that the timeline you are living is not the only one, that there are currents moving just below the surface of events currents that carry meaning and intention. This tremor is the first crack in the wall of the ordinary, and through that crack, a sliver of light from a different sun begins to pour in. It is the initial, gentle pull of a truth that is too vast to be grasped all at once, a truth that must be felt before it can be understood. It is the universe's way of tapping you on the shoulder, asking you to turn around and look more closely at the tapestry of your life, not at the grand image woven on the front, but at the tangled, complex, and far more revealing network of threads on the reverse side. This sensation, this quiet unrest, is not your enemy. It is not anxiety. It is your spiritual compass, and it is pointing you toward November the 22nd. And this brings us to the nature of the text itself. We have been taught to read the world in a certain way, to accept the bold headlines and the obvious narratives as the whole story. We look at a tree and we see a biological organism. We look at a historical event and we see a sequence of actions and reactions. We look at the date on a calendar and we see a simple measure of time. This is the bold print. It is the surface level reality that is agreed upon, the consensus truth that allows society to function. But this is merely the first page of an infinite book. The true substance, the deeper meaning, lies in the margins. The world is an unread text, and every single thing in it, from the pattern of falling leaves to the repetition of a number, from a dream that feels more real than waking life to a coincidence that defies logical explanation, is a glyph, a symbol waiting to be deciphered. The tree is not just a tree, it is a record of the seasons, a testament to resilience. Its rings a physical chronicle of years of drought and rain, a living scripture written in wood and leaf. The historical event is not just a point in time, it is an expression of archetypal energies, a replay of ancient patterns on a modern stage, its true causes and effects hidden in the unseen realms of collective thought and emotion. The calendar date is not just a square on a page, it is a confluence of energetic frequencies, a point where celestial and earthly cycles intersect, creating a unique portal of potentiality. We have been skimming the summary of a story, missing the profound poetry, the intricate symbolism, the hidden instructions woven into the very fabric of existence. The author of this text has written in layers. The bold print is for the casual observer, the marginalia, the footnotes, the subtle annotations. These are for the seeker. These are the whispers that guide you toward a greater understanding. Think of your own life as a text. The bold print is your job title, your address, the facts of your biography. But the real story, the story of your soul, is written in the margins. It is in the sudden and unexplained joy you felt watching a sunset. It is in the strange sadness that washed over you in a place you had never been before. It is in the recurring dream, the forgotten memory that suddenly resurfaces, the person you met by what you called chance. These are the annotations in the manuscript of your being. To read the world as a text is to become a detective of the divine. It is to approach every moment with a question, not just an assumption. It is to look at a common event and ask, what is the deeper pattern here? What is the universe trying to illustrate? This shift in perception from passive observer to active interpreter is the most critical step you can take. It transforms a random and chaotic world into a purposeful and intentional communication. The tremor you feel is the invitation to become literate in this hidden language. The date, November the 22nd, is not just a date. It is one of these marginal annotations written in a script we are only now learning to see. It is a footnote pointing to a pivotal chapter in the human story, a chapter that has been waiting patiently for its readers to finally arrive. Of course, Here is the expansion of the third keynote. And so we arrive at the mechanism, the tool for turning this felt tremor into a legible truth, for translating the whispers from the margins into a clear and guiding voice. This is the function of the key. A key, by its very nature, implies a lock, and a lock implies something designed to be both secured and, at the right moment, opened. The date, November the 22nd, is this key. It is not a random collection of digits, not a simple measure of earthly orbit. It is a precise, intentional mechanism. Think of a lock on a great ancient door. The lock is not the door itself, nor is it the treasure that lies behind it. The lock is the interface, the point of engagement. It is the part of the mystery that is meant to be touched, to be interacted with. The tremor was the feeling that the door exists. The understanding of the world as a text was the realization that the door is covered in writing. But this date is the specific, tactile object you must now hold in your hand. It is the answer to the question you have been carrying, the question you perhaps could not even fully form. How do I open this? How do I move from sensing to knowing? A key works because of its unique shape. It has ridges and valleys that correspond perfectly to the internal configuration of the lock. So, what is the shape of this key? Its shape is its position in the great cycles. It is a confluence, a moment where multiple streams of time and meaning flow together into a single point. It is a harmonic convergence in the silent music of the cosmos, a moment when the resistance in the lock's tumblers falls away. This is why a date can hold power. It is a coordinate in time, and time is not a flat, empty plane. It is a layered and folded reality, rich with meaning and memory. Certain points in this landscape are like acupuncture points on the body of eternity, points where pressure can be applied to create a profound effect in the present. November the 22nd is such a point. It is a moment when the veil between the bold print and the marginal annotations becomes thin, almost transparent. It is a designated opening in the fabric of the ordinary, a window that does not stay open forever. The key does not create the door, nor does it create the treasure. It merely acknowledges a pre-existing design. It is an act of recognition. By focusing our consciousness on this date, by understanding its significance, we are not inventing a meaning for it. We are rather aligning ourselves with the meaning that is already there, inherent in the structure of reality itself. We are taking the key and with a gentle hand, inserting it into the lock. The key is inert without the hand that turns it. The date is a silent coordinate without the consciousness that seeks to understand it. This is the partnership between the seeker and the secret. The universe provides the lock and the key. We must provide the curiosity, the intention, and the courage to turn it. This key of a forgotten date is the bridge between your inner feeling and the outer design. It is the tangible proof that the tremor was not your imagination and that the text is not a fantasy. It is the specific, practical instrument that moves you from the realm of wondering to the realm of unlocking. And what is it that this key unlocks? It reveals the pattern, not a random assortment of events, but a deliberate, intricate design, a signature woven into the very fabric of history. This is the pattern of the chosen one. This phrase, the chosen one, is often misunderstood. The human mind, conditioned by stories of kings and heroes, immediately conjures an image of a single, solitary figure, separate and elevated, destined to bear a crown or a sword. But this is a reading of the bold print, a superficial interpretation. The pattern of the chosen one, as written in the hidden text, is something far more profound and far more personal. It is an archetype, a fundamental energy that moves through time, manifesting in different ways in different eras. It is not about a single person, but about a role, a function, a specific quality of consciousness that is required by the world at a precise moment in its unfolding. Think of it as a thread of a particular color, a golden strand that is woven in and out of the tapestry. Sometimes it is visible on the surface, a bright and unmistakable highlight. At other times, it runs hidden beneath the surface, giving strength and structure to the entire piece, unseen but essential. The pattern is the recurring appearance of this thread. It is the echo of a specific frequency that resonates at critical junctures, a note that is struck to bring the cosmic symphony back into harmony. The key of the date allows us to see this pattern clearly. It illuminates the connections between seemingly disconnected events, linking moments across centuries through a common vibrational signature. It shows how a story from a forgotten scripture, a turning point in a historical struggle, and a personal revelation in your own life might all be different expressions of the same underlying archetypal pattern. This pattern is one of awakening and recognition. It is about the moment an individual or a collective realizes that they are not merely passive inhabitants of a predetermined story, but active participants in a conscious co-creation. The chosen one is not chosen by an external God or fate in the way we might choose a piece of fruit from a bowl. Rather, they are the one who, through a process of inner alignment and profound seeking, becomes a resonant vessel for this archetypal energy. They step into the role by recognizing it within themselves. They answer a call that is both deeply personal and universally significant. The pattern, therefore, is a map of this calling as it has manifested throughout time. And by studying this map, by seeing how this energy has flowed and where it has converged, we can begin to understand its trajectory. We can begin to see that this is not a pattern that belongs to the past. It is a living, dynamic force, and its most critical manifestation is not behind us, but ahead of us. The lock is turning, the key is engaging, and the pattern is emerging into the light, not as a relic, but as a revelation of what is to come and of who is meant to step into its design. And this is where the inquiry turns inward from the vastness of cosmic patterns to the intimate landscape of your own soul. For if the pattern of the chosen one is an archetype seeking manifestation, a role waiting to be filled, then the most pressing and unsettling question naturally arises. Who is the chosen one? The mind may rush to assign this title to a historical messiah, a prophesied world leader, or a charismatic figure seen from afar. This is a comfortable distance, a way to observe the pattern without being altered by it. But the hidden text does not allow for such a passive reading. The pattern, by its very nature, is recursive. It folds back upon itself and upon the one who is observing it. The key of the date does not merely point to a figure outside of you. It turns the question into a mirror. The true function of this revelation is to force you to look into your own reflection and ask, is it me? This question is not born of ego, but of a terrifying and profound responsibility. It is the shudder one feels when called by name in a silent room. To truly contemplate this is to allow the foundation of your identity to become unmoored. Every story you have told yourself about who you are, your name, your history, your limitations, your place in the world begins to feel like a temporary costume. The self you have known is the bold print. But the pattern speaks to something far deeper, a marginal note written on the soul before time. This inquiry unravels the threads of your perceived separation. The chosen one is not a singular, isolated figure precisely because the archetype is a relational field, a state of being that can be entered. The question, is it me? is the essential key that unlocks the next level of the mystery. It is the moment you stop looking for a savior in the sky and begin to listen for the sovereign within. This is the great shaking. The life you have built, the persona you present to the world, may have been a beautiful and necessary construction, but it was built on the old map. Now, with the new one being drawn, you must wonder if that person was ever the true occupant of this body. This spirit, the pattern of the chosen one, is ultimately a pattern of awakening to one's true essential purpose. It is the realization that you are not a bystander in a predetermined story, but a crucial conscious co-author. The date, the key, the pattern, they are not pointing to a person, but to a potentiality. They are pointing to a frequency of consciousness that can be embodied. And so the question transforms from a search for a name to a preparation of the vessel. It becomes, am I ready? Could my life, with all its imperfections and its hidden strengths, be a suitable home for this pattern to express itself once more? This is not a question that is answered with a simple yes or no. It is a question that becomes a lifelong practice, a constant orientation of the soul toward its highest possible expression. The key has turned in the lock. The door is now ajar. And the light falling through the crack illuminates not a path to follow, but a face you were always meant to recognize. And so we arrive at the final and only truth that matters. The door is open. The key has turned. The lock has yielded. And the passage now stands before you not as a metaphor, but as a tangible reality within the landscape of your consciousness. The tremor was the invitation. The text was the context. The key was the mechanism. The pattern was the revelation. The question was the mirror, and now the choice is the consequence. To stand at this threshold is to understand that awareness alone is not enough. You can feel the tremor, read the text, hold the key, see the pattern, and even ask the question, and still remain forever on the known side of the doorway. The universe, in its infinite wisdom, will not force you across. It will only provide the opening. The step itself belongs entirely to you. This is the great sovereignty of the soul. This choice to walk through the door is not a physical movement, but a fundamental shift in allegiance. It is a decision to turn your back on the consensus reality, on the comfort of the bold print, and to fully embrace the role of the interpreter, the seeker, the one who reads the world by a different light. It is a commitment to live as if the hidden text is the primary text and the obvious world is merely its shadow. To cross this threshold is to accept that your life will no longer be a simple, linear narrative, but a continuous dialogue with the mysterious. It is to agree to see every coincidence as a potential synchronicity, every challenge as a lesson inscribed in the marginalia, every person you meet as a possible messenger. It is to live with the constant, humbling, and exhilarating understanding that you are participating in a story so vast its full plot is beyond your comprehension, yet your role in it is absolutely essential. This step is taken in silence. It is not announced with a grand proclamation. It is a quiet, internal surrender, a whispered yes to the call that has been echoing through your being. It is the moment you decide to stop observing the pattern and instead become an active expression of it. The other side of the door is not a promised land of easy answers. It is a realm of even greater questions, but they are questions that vibrate with purpose and meaning. It is a landscape where the tremor you once felt is now the very ground you walk on, a constant low hum of connection to the source. The light from the other side is not a blinding flash, but a gradual dawn, illuminating a path that is uniquely yours, yet intimately connected to the grand unfolding design. The door is open. The light is spilling out, casting long shadows from the objects of your old life. The air from the other side carries a different scent, a mixture of ancient dust and unimaginable blossoms. Everything that has come before, the restlessness, the seeking, the decoding, has led to this single, silent, and sovereign moment. The architecture of the mystery is complete. All that remains is the will to take the step from the known into the becoming,